The nick of time.
Right, hey, what do you call it? You mute that, I'll sort this out.
I was getting to the point where I was thinking you're going to have to climb up on that cabinet at the back here and sit on the naughty step.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. There we are. All good.
Yeah, we're all good now. Yep, we're public. Yeah, we're all good. Right. How are we doing? We should get Facebook in shortly. Who we got?
It's
Hunters. 42 already. Alexander Thompson, Rebecca McDougall, Wolfbet, Eddie Wolfie, Evelyn, Gerard, Akies, Mark. He started to listen to Owen Jones, but the two Davies get precedence. Thanks very much, Margaret.
Is it raining in Oban? Bloody hell! Just looking at that for John.
Hi, Jane. That's the Facebooker. That's the Facebooker starting to fly in the door, so that's good.
So what we got in total?
Oh, we're still too low. We're only at 66 at the moment.
Right.
There's more rushing in the door as we speak.
Yeah.
Sometimes the numbers are a wee bit short, and then they'll jump up by 20, 30 at a time, you know.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Once we hit the 100 mark, we'll get started. Thank everybody that took part in the Two Cafes charity night. It was an eventful weekend. Right, where are we? We're nearly there, David. The next jump in the numbers will take us up to our 100 mark, and then we'll get this broadcast underway. And it will be the two Davies on the 6th to the 11th, 2023. And the first one on the cards is Subja Yusuf's in-laws arrived safely back in Scotland after a horrific 4 weeks in Gaza. Elizabeth and Miguel El Nakal, unfortunately, they had to leave a lot of their family behind, including a baby grandchild, you know, because these people are citizens of Palestine, so they couldn't get out. But it's good that the First Minister's family is safe for the time being. Those here in Scotland, anyway.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. She'll have quite a story to tell, but I really do hope that the newspapers and the mainstream media stay off her back because
because she's going to be drowned in.
Yeah,
she's going to be suffering for the traumatic 4 weeks that she spent in the besieged city. Thanks very much, Akies. Really appreciate that, mate. Really we do. I mean, let's face it, Gaza is under siege. Yeah. And when we get right down to it, the First Minister's party seems to be the only one in these bloody islands calling for a ceasefire at this point in time.
Yeah, you know? I can't imagine what Hamza's mum and dad-in-law went through, because it's like I've never been. The closest I came to a war thing was Sri Lanka. We dropped into Sri Lanka on the way home from the Maldives, and the rebels, they called them, had come in and tried to take over the airport. So yeah, and that's the closest I came. And the other side was I worked on an anti-terrorist training place where the machine gun fire made the hair on the back of your head stand up, and that wasn't even pointing at me. It was they were running around jumbo jets, made up jumbo jets, and blooming flats that they were going into and all the rest of it. And I just can't even go there as to what somebody would feel when they thought the next thing that happened.
You've got to remember, it's going to be worse for Elizabeth and her man who have made it back to Scotland, because they've had to leave children behind.
Right.
You know, and they know what these children facing.
But also,
it's been a very difficult decision to cross that border.
Yeah, and also the people that have been told to move south in Gaza, they might have people in hospital, and they can't leave them because, well, your relatives or your brother or your sister-in-law or whatever, right?
I've seen this story, Britain Arts or democracy deniers. Yes, I've seen that the Labour council in Edinburgh used money designated for disabled children to promote the King's coronation, mini coronation in Edinburgh. Outrageous. So anyway, Holmes's family are back safe, and we're good. Of course, he'll be grateful for that. Right, let's move on. SNP Green Government released migration to Scotland after independence paper number 6 in the prospectus for an independent Scotland.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen because you imagine if we're going to become an independent nation, then we have to plan for things like this before we get there.
Aye.
It's common sense, absolutely common sense.
So what the paper lays out is how the new institutes would work, how many people would be employed in them, roughly, sort of thing. It also sets out a new asylum system, which will be a wee bit fairer on the people who are applying, because the people who are applying will be allowed to get themselves into work and be able to contribute to society and maintain themselves while waiting on a final decision. Right? They also says that the new immigration system or migration system would be tailored to the needs of the Scottish people, Scottish population, with the idea of growing the population, which is exactly what the Argyll, Bute and the Highlands need.
Yep.
We'll get a wee bit more of that further in. And the other idea is to work with sectors of the economy to make sure that migration matches their needs in the business sectors, to ensure that they have well-paid jobs available for people and that the skills are available to the employers.
Yeah, that's an important one, the skills base.
Yeah.
We've got to make sure we're not just bringing in...
Thanks, John. Really appreciate it.
We're bringing in people with particular skills that are needed within our industry or commerce or whatever.
Aye, definitely. Now, the system will also look at specifically the population needs in certain areas, and the idea is to expand the population in places like the Western Isles and the Highlands. But that would also have to go hand in hand with infrastructure. But as you know, as your population grows, you've got to increase you've got to provide the infrastructure that's required to make sure that that population has what it needs. So one goes hand in glove with the other. But
if you start building a wee village somewhere or a town, right, then you're going to need everything. You need people that are going to come in, run a bar. They're going to build a village shop or whatever. It's all important. Everybody becomes important.
But you've also got to build things like schools and doctor surgeries and things like that, David. So we'll see the economy grow as the population grows as well. These things are interrelated. So that's a new system for migration set out. So as I say, that's number 6 in the papers. Now, Pamela Nash of Scotland in the Union says, never mind telling us how immigration would work, tell us how the English border would work. But as we know how the English border is going to work, because it's how it works for Northern Ireland now.
Exactly.
Pamela Nash is a raving, frothing, silly person. A raving, silly person. How's the border going to work? How's the border with Northern Ireland work? That's how it's going to work with Scotland and England.
Yeah. Pamela, we can't say any more than that. If you do want to find out, then do go and look at how the Northern Ireland border works, and take it from that head. All right.
Right. Let's move on, David. School strikes called off. New offer made to Unison and, of course, the rest of the public sector workers who were involved in that dispute, which surprised me because I thought Unite and GMB having settled that the Scottish Government would have just said, hell do it. Because obviously Unison's members are getting poorer every time they go on strike. But obviously the Scottish Government's decided it's better to settle. So they've managed to free up another 17.2 million to make up to what it was Unison wants. Now, in the package, it means that those in the lowest pay bands in the public sector, where they were going on strike, in the education sector, they will get a £2,000 pay rise, backdated to April, right? And everybody else will get a 5.5% pay rise. Still a wee bit below inflation.
Yeah, but can I come in there, David? We saw this with the nurses. My own wife, she got a pay rise, I think it was last year or the year before. And what happened was the pay rise came in and it bolstered up those at the lower end. And then as you went further up the pay scale, they got less and less and less, which is right. It's progressive. It's not progressive tax, it's progressive.
Anyway, the 32 local authorities have also committed to try and get the minimum wage within the local authorities to £15 by 2026.
Yeah.
But they're not, as they say, they'll try and get it to that. It depends on how the budgets get squeezed with Westminster, you know.
Yeah, if we didn't have Westminster to pay for, then the Scottish Government would be able to do this easily. And actually, everybody would be screaming at them for big wage increases. What was that? Aye, Strella, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Thomas. Now, the next stories go to Davies, the King's Speech, which is coming up, the opening of Parliament.
Yeah.
And in it, get this one, folks, there'll be a new bill to do with oil and gas. And that new bill will have a yearly licensing rounds written into it.
Yeah.
Now, in the stipulations, of course, what they're saying is that all new projects brought online will have to meet net zero. You and I know that's not possible.
Yeah.
You know, you and I know that's not possible. And John, I thought I'd tell you, son, you're in the wrong thread. You're in the wrong programme. Anyway, but here's the thing. You know, the environmental charities are all going after nothing. Greenpeace says they're going to take the government to court for every time they go to issue a licence, they're going to end up in the courts fighting about it. Because obviously the climate emergency, you know, these people they're not paying any attention to it. And this bill with net zero 2050 crap, there's nothing net zero but continuing to pump and burn fossil fuels. You know, most of what's going to pump to will be shipped overseas and you've no control over how to use it.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I mean, yet again, here we go again. It's like we were told on the run-up to the 2014 referendum, you've no oil. That's it. It's running out. You've got 15 billion barrels of oil, and that's it. When that's done, it's done. And now what we're seeing new licence squares going up everywhere. And Rishi Sunak going, we're in the money, we're in the money. And seriously, guys, they're ripping Scotland like you wouldn't believe.
It's also, they're ripping the piss out of people, David. As you say, 212 to 214, oil's running out. We've got it in 15 years. Now they're talking about yearly licensing fucking rounds.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
But of course, David, you already know. We already knew there was plenty out there because we did Subsea 7 section report, the McPhail report on mineral wealth through Scotland.
Yeah.
Around the whole of the UK. So we knew there was running out.
Yeah.
We put it out there. But as I say, it's just a slap. And it shows you how untrustworthy and what bloody liars unionists are.
Yeah.
And I mean that all unionists are. I don't just mean the pirates doing in Westminster. I mean every single one of them. They're all liars.
Yeah.
From Pamela and Ashton or tell us how the border will work when we already know how the border infrastructure is going to work. We've just fucking built it for Northern Ireland.
She's grasping at straws. You know she is. When she actually goes at us for something like that, or will tell us how the borders will work, you know fine well that's somebody like her grasping at straws.
Planning permission has got nothing to do with the sea border. That's for on land. The sea area is for on land. Right, so another slap in the face to Scottish people. Right, let's move on. Well, Christ, we're motoring the day, David.
I know. Sorry, we'll need to blooming kill the show at half an hour or something like that, you know.
No. Some of the subjects coming up will be stretched a little bit longer than that. Right. Yeah, as I say, but Greenpeace say any licence issued will be challenged in the courts.
Yeah.
And it's about time because we've got to break this habit.
Yeah.
All right, we need a just transition. That's what the Greens and the SNP are proposing as we move to what they call a well-being society.
Yeah.
But as I say, they really need to get away from us. And it's not just weaning ourselves off it. We've got to shut these things down so everybody else is supposed to be weaned off this stuff.
For a start, you cannot play about with somebody's wage, somebody's income, right? And what you've got to do is you've got to create the opportunities in a similar industry. The good thing is, because we're into the renewables, that industry is actually going to be similar to what the skills that are used offshore, the offshore skills actually on the rigs, working away, welders, all those skills, they're all important for the renewables.
Right.
So,
anyway, as I say, there's going to be a just transition, but we have got to, for the sake of the future of the planet, and everybody who is yet to be born and who lives here at the moment, we really need to sort this disaster out. And pumping more oil and gas isn't the answer.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jags.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That will definitely help, I can assure you.
Yeah.
That will help.
Just a brief update to let you know what's in the account. There we go. The account is sitting at £187.25. Yeah. Don't forget, the Google pay out at a particular time each month.
For the 20th each month or something like that.
So really, that's all we've got to look forward to, unless you guys go on and you actually pay money from your account directly into our account. All right, we're not minding which it is. Seriously.
Right, this next one, David. Edinburgh Council last week, we were talking about it on Thursday, they'd yet to have the vote. They've had the vote now, and they've declared a housing emergency. They are now the second Scottish council to have declared such an emergency. Now, the situations are different in both council areas. The other ones are Gyle and Butte, and its big problem is getting its hands on land.
Yep.
And if they don't, because the land's on private ownership or it belongs to the military, and that means there have been problems building the infrastructure they need to increase the population to ensure and to counter an aging demographic, and ensure vital public services survive. That goes back to what we were talking about with migration policy.
And also, what we were talking about previously was this thing of where lots of companies are land banked. And land banking, personally, I feel it should be illegal.
That's not really a problem like Gyle and Butte. That's been a problem for Edinburgh.
Edinburgh, yeah.
And as we know, Edinburgh and the Central Belt in general has been their housing problem comes through their success.
Yeah.
Scotland, once again, has the best inward investment in Europe, and it's right along this Central Belt corridor, as you know.
Yeah.
For Edinburgh, the problem is that they're attracting a lot of people to go live and work there, especially in the financial sectors and the tech sectors.
Yeah.
And of course there's the universities. So it's a busy city.
Yeah.
Now, the problem has been put down to the selling off of social housing and no building enough of it. And like you just said, land banking, David.
dreadful. It really is. I mean, I'll give you an idea of where I saw land banking, and it was such an unusual place. Right on the M25 to the north of London, I stayed in a travel lodge just for a couple of nights, right? And they had out the back of the travel lodge was this vast area, which was just greenfield, right? And I got talking to the manager, and I said, "What's the score with that land that's there? I thought in London that would have been built. Oh, it was land banked by Sainsbury's, one of the big retail companies,
Right.
Sainsbury's, Tesco's, or whatever." And I just thought, how long's it been like that? And the guy said, "Oh, it's been like that for a few years now." So they've got their problems with it. We've got our problems with it. It's about time somebody just made it illegal, or put a time limit on it. You can land bank, but you can only do it for 6 months or whatever.
You can only hold it for X amount, or else we're going to take the planning permission and change the designation of the land, and that would devalue it and allow the councils to be able to buy it back.
Yep.
Because, as I say, it is a huge problem. Anyway, Edinburgh Council's calling on the Scottish Government to pull together the private sector and the public sector, and they get their heads knocked together. Maybe have to issue compulsory purchase orders on some of these people who've been land banking, and between them they want to build more houses, obviously. So we'll see where that line goes. But as I say, Edinburgh is the second council to declare a housing emergency. As I say, but the problems are different in Argyll and Bute than what they are for in Edinburgh, because Edinburgh and the Central Belt generally is suffering from its own success.
Maybe if we got rid of a few of the nuclear sub bases, we could actually just build more land. A few barrelfuls of blooming soil in there, you know what I mean?
Aye. We'll just bulldoze a few mountains into the sea and extend the coast, you know. So, as I say, so housing is becoming a real problem, and we're seeing that down that road. We're at discussing Braverman, you know. Thank you very much. That's hell of a generous. Thank you for the show. Keep up with good work. Now, we're seeing this problem with housing in England and all, and that's for this disgusting creature. Braverman's just kicked in at the weekend. She's going to give the police powers, and they're going to change the rules down that road to stop homeless people sheltering in tents to protect them from the elements. They're also going to give police power to move homeless people onto shop doorways and things like that. Now, according to Miss Braverman, homelessness is living in tents is a lifestyle choice. It's not that there's no bloody houses down that road, and rents are excessive and people can't afford to rent bloody houses. Because it's a lifestyle choice. They poor buggers in the street, they chose to be there.
In Oxford, they've actually got a chandeliers for tent shop. It's just opened up. It looks really good.
That's it. So as I say, the housing crisis isn't just here in the Central Belt or around Argyll and Bute. It is UK-wide, with homelessness up 76%. Wait, yeah, it's up 76% since 2010.
And here's the thing. The Church of England is always pleading poverty. They're always going, "Oh, we've run out of money. We need to do the roof on this church and all the rest of it." And everybody keeps on saying to them, "Sell a bit of land."
Aye.
They're one of the biggest landowners in England. And
if you're dying, the land either goes to the Crown or the church. If it's intestate. Right. So that's the problems with housing. It's not good. Right, let's move on to the way the mainstream media is portraying this. These parties, protests.
Yeah, this one includes Ms. Braverman, obviously.
Yes. And the press and the politicians of all hues, with the exception of the SNP and a few sane green voices and things like that, are all labeling these people who are protesting for peace, a peaceful solution in the Middle East with the Israelis in Palestine. What the press are going about saying is that these protests are endorsing Hamas.
Right, okay.
So no, it's calling for an end to the bloody bloodshed.
Yeah.
Suella Braverman's come out and say wants to ban, putting pressure on the Met to ban a peace march on Armistice Day. Really?
That's sick.
They're calling them hate marches. So standing up to stop the slaughter of other human beings, that's hate, apparently.
I really don't know if you can see a trend going here, guys, right?
Well, that's just fascism.
The weekend I saw Andrew Marr, along with a few others, in an interview situation with Trevor Phillips on Sky TV. And Andrew Marr came up and said, I don't know if you got this from an email, but Suella Braverman is looking to become the next Prime Minister. And by bringing herself up into all these different things, she's increasing her face being on the TV, so that she can become or run for the next premiership of the UK. She's a nasty bit of work, but I'll tell you what, I know a few Tories that'll be loving her. Seriously.
But you imagine it. Apparently, these marches on Armistice Day will be disruptive and disrespectful to a Armistice Day congregation.
They're just noisy. They're just noisy, and it's like I can imagine, like in any big, enormous protest of that size, that there are one or two nutters in there, right? But having said that, they were saying, oh, it must be really scary for people that are Jewish to go out. There's blooming Jews attending these blooming marches. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it can't be that scary,
It's took my stomach out of last week. The propaganda, the way they're trying to get the people here on board with mass slaughter, and polling showing that 78% of the people don't approve of what's going on in Israel. Yet we've got politicians disrespecting the will of the people and no standing up and saying, well, we as a United Kingdom, because in this case we're more or less aligned with the people of England, we as a United Kingdom don't agree with the slaughter of these people in Palestine. We don't agree with how you're going to put it. We demand a ceasefire. Our politicians are not doing that. Oh, sorry, the English politicians are not doing that. They're generally doing that here.
The one thing to remember is that the mainstream media have lost this battle, and they've lost it well and truly, because you go on social media and you can see the Palestine, the pro-Palestine protests going ahead in practically every city on the planet. And it's massive. It really, really is massive. So, yeah, nothing against. Avril said the ordinary Jews are as horrified as us Gentiles. Yep, correct. I believe that's the case. I believe there's a few of them that are still had the wool pulled over their eyes by the Israeli government. That's going to happen, and the Israeli mainstream media are going to be pumping really, really hard to keep them cloistered and away from what the rest of the world is saying. But you look on social media and you see those protests, and it's got all the cities, Paris, Glasgow. You go through them all, and it's massive. So they have lost, and they cannot make it back. So long as we keep up the pressure, do not allow it to go awry. Seriously, okay.
And people are asking, who is this United Kingdom? Well, sorry, folks, but there is actually a treaty of union. There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
And while we're still in it, we're still in it.
Yeah.
But no, that it suits David and I, because quite well where we sit on that one audience. But no, it's disgraceful. And this next one's even worse, telling folks. And this is Westminster to redefine what an extremist is. And that's to include peaceful extremists, as they call them. Yeah. Right? And the new definition will be to change extreme, the definition of extremism will be anybody who stands against the institutions, the parliamentary sovereignty and the institutions of the British state. Now, this was leaked by the civil service to the press. Now, everybody in the dug are saying the same thing. This goes too far, because what it does, it means that pro-independence parties in Scotland, pro-independence parties in Wales, and pro-Irish unity parties could then be outlawed and their supporters be criminalised.
Now, do you remember a certain Nick Clegg, who was the Deputy Prime Minister back before the 2014 Indy ref?
Well, you must believe
he called us extremists. He was the first person to call the people that supported independence for Scotland extremists. And all I've got to say to that is, bring it on. Just bring it on. Seriously, see if you're going to write a bill that makes over half of the population in Scotland into extremists, and you're going to make it whereby you're going to lock us all up, fucking bring it on, right?
Right, Tom, you're saying that the 30th of November is the 100th anniversary of the death of John McQueen. Any idea if there's anything planned to commemorate the event? I would get in touch with Alan Smart, Tom. Yeah. Alan Smart's the guy that runs the John McQueen Society, I believe. Yeah.
Say that again, David. Say it again. Just in case there's anybody else wants to celebrate this in some way or mark it in some way.
Well, I'm almost positive that Alan Smart will have something organised. So if you get a grip of Alan Smart, he's an independent supporter. You'll get him on Facebook. He's a musician. Quite a nice guy, Alan.
You always find him.
Recently seen him at the Falkirk Wheel, actually.
No, but you'll usually see him set up. You know the big tunnel that comes out from the Glasgow. What's it called? The big centre. And there's a tunnel that takes you up to where the train station is. He's usually set up at the bend, so you'll get him there.
So, the redefinition of extremism could see the SNP, the Greens, ALPA, Plaid Cymru, the SDLP, and Sinn Féin, sorry, all criminalised, all outlawed, because we all have an idea of wanting to get away from Westminster, and we apparently are an existential risk to Westminster parliamentary sovereignty and the institutions of the British states and of their values.
Yeah, well, there you go. I tell you what, see if they bring that out, what we should do is we should quickly get Humza and everybody else to actually produce a bill that states that anybody that's a part of England that is an English party should not be able to speak in the Scottish legislature, right? So that would be Lib Dems, Tory, Labour, get them out. They're not part of us, simple as that. End of.
No.
Yep. So, no, see when I hear this, I know for a fact it's yet again another little blooming Tory scab. Blooming.
Here's a kicker. You see how right here.
Try to kick things up here to give them something to bounce at, something like that.
The other thing it will do, David, it will outlaw organisations like the British Muslim Council, pro-Palestinian freedom groups, and I imagine too that you imagine it apply to Zionist groups as well, would you know? Because they know exactly what you call enamoured with the British institutions.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, it's like you can see by the wording, extremist. That's something to do with terrorism.
Yes, right.
And that's something to do with whatever. What they're trying to do, I think, is take a leaf out of the Israelis' book and build a Hamas. And don't forget, what we're seeing now coming out, we know that the Israeli government gave money for the setup of Hamas. That's really, that's bloody strange, right? We know that Hamas had 6 or 7 hours to do what they were going to do without being attacked. They had a free reign to do what they were going to do and then stroll home with their hostages, right? So are we seeing possibly the UK government or those in the UK government trying to take a leaf out of the Israeli government's book and build an opposition, build a Hamas-type figure by calling us extremists?
I think they're just bottling. I think they can see the end of the UK state coming round the corner at a rapid rate of knots.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, what they can do is they can cause an awful lot of damage before getting there.
Yeah,
we have to be aware of it, David. You know that, right?
Oh, aye. But the go away, as you say, by branding as extremists, right, you can outlaw our parties, and that's just another thing to try and quash our democracy.
Yeah, Red Scotland has come up with a really, really nice comment if you put it up. Mossad are Hamas. They're one and the same. Wake up, it's all a staged event. I believe, my considered opinion is, you are right. You are dead right.
But we're not allowed to say that, we'll get taken off air.
Yeah, okay, fine. All right.
You know, because they're cracking down on any support for the Palestinian people. As we spoke about how the press are describing people who are marching and demanding a ceasefire.
Straight away, I start asking, who are they? Who are the they that we're talking about? They are coming down hard on. Who the fuck are they?
Aye.
If they show their fucking faces, then they'll be in a lot of bother, because there's a lot of us that do want to support Palestine.
Aye.
Okay.
Right. But as I say, this idea of expanding what a peaceful extremist is, apparently.
Yeah.
You know, and that includes climate activist groups and things like that, David.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, basically they're stamping out and protest and anybody who opposes what's going on in the British state, and that includes independent supporters in Scotland, Wales, and reunification supporters in Ireland.
Bring it on.
You know,
seriously.
But right, this next one's a doozy. Bank of England says the economy to remain flat till 2025 or beyond. And we would City AM reckon that the figures when they come out Friday will indicate that we're going into a recession. Okay. Now, this is a blow to Jeremy Hunt, who's been told he has a potential 13.5 billion of headroom in the public finances. This is up for an estimate of only having 6.5 billion of wiggle room in the public finances.
The thing is, though, it is a well-known thing in the past where if the country's in recession, you don't give tax breaks to the rich.
But he's gone,
and that's what he's going to try and do.
Aye, apparently he's looking at tax breaks for certain business sectors. He's talking about keeping the 5 pence, using 4 billion to finance another year of fuel duty freeze.
Yeah.
I mean, they knocked the lowered fuel duty by 5 pence last year in the heart of the height of inflation.
And just the same as in the Highlands, when the coalition government did that under David Cameron, they gave 5p off all the Western Isles, and what happened was the wholesalers came in and took up the 5 pence, so nobody got a break.
Right. Anyway, the other thing they're speculating is going to do is scrap inheritance tax, which we see 7 billion taken annually from the public purse.
And what percentage actually pay inheritance tax?
There's only 4% of the population are wealthy enough to pay inheritance tax. 4%.
I think the figure is if the estate is worth more than £350,000, that's when you start paying inheritance tax.
You pay it at the moment. I think they've dropped it. It used to be the same as capital gains at 40%. I think they've dropped it to 20 or something like that, haven't they?
Yeah, I know, but it's the actual number before you start paying it, and it's there. It's to protect people with a bit bit of money behind them. It's like you look at the price of a house now. It's like this house I've got is ex-council, and it's valued at a couple of 100,000, right?
Aye.
My goodness me, that would have been worth 10 bob when it went up. You know what I mean? So.
But what I will do is it means that the rich will be able to pass on their dirty money tax free.
Yeah.
You know. So that's what's the speculation at the moment, that he's going to maintain the free zone fuel duty, and he's going to scrap the heritage tax.
Now, what about the?
We talk about that wriggle room, David. What the Resolution Foundation, who did the research on this one to see how much he's got to wriggle room, right? What they're saying is he's not going to be able to spend it. They're saying because we're about to hit the skids. A recession. They reckon the numbers coming out on Friday will show we're in recession. That'll be the third quarter a row of shrinkage. Right? So, and the economy is expected to shrink by 0.1%, which was all the gains there was in September, disappear. So, progressively, we're at zero, we're at flat line now, and we're into a recession. Yeah. And the Bank of England tells us it's going to last quite a while. And we're also being told by the Bank of England that if it does give tax breaks, it will increase inflation. You know? Yeah. Right, let's move on, because time is starting to batter through, Dave. We've still got a few subjects to get through.
Right.
And Sir Comrade Kidstarver's woes deepen over his stance on Gaza. Council leaders of Burnley, Council Leader of Burnley and 10 others, plus another 11 today, have quit the Labour Party over the stance. 2 council leaders down that road have demanded the Starmer stands down. That might be increasing by the moment, as Labour slipped back 3 points in the polls because of Starmer. And what Starmer has told individual party members is he's concentrating on the safety of the people of Palestine, apparently, rather than the individual views of the party. On now, as we already know, what Sir Keith is Sir Keek is what Sir Keek is talking about is a humanitarian pause, as they call it. It's no humanitarian pause. We spoke about this last time. It's mental fucking torture. You stop the conflict for 24 to 48 hours, throw in some water, throw in some food, throw in some medicine, and say, hurry up and take your medicine before we bomb the shit out of you again. What Starmer is actually talking about is actual mental torture of the people who are already being tortured and bombarded. You know?
Well, I watched them getting interviewed the other day there on Sky. And the question was very, very pointed towards the Israeli and Palestine issue. And the shit that he turned it around to blooming Russia and Ukraine. And he said, oh yeah, definitely Putin is a war criminal. And so that he wouldn't have to say something about Israel. And I've asked all of you to go on my timeline and get the hold of the Labour files that were produced by Al Jazeera and watch them. There is like 5 of them, 5 separate movies that you can watch, and they are stunning in what they've actually brought forth. And it's all well researched, and your jaw will be on the ground when you watch it. Okay.
Well, anyway, to say Starmer's no got his woes, there's been calls for him to resign as Labour leader now, but his stance on
well, that was 11 councillors this morning, David.
Yeah, they're calling it a Israel-Hamas war. This isn't an Israel-Hamas war. This is a bloody butchering of the Palestinian people.
Yeah, it's the fish in the barrel.
It's like, you're right, they're starting that war shooting them with fish in the barrel. And one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen the other day there was they were actually on Al Jazeera. I've seen the clip. They're actually sitting in cliff tops and chairs watching the bombardment of the people of Gaza.
Yeah, I put that one up myself. That says to me that there are monsters in the world, and it's like, for these people to actually watch rockets flying into Gaza. From where do you think they're coming from, right? Do you think Hamas are firing them? No, right? And it's we're actually talking about, you can see a missile, and it was in the darkness, and you can see it going right across Hamas, and the last was giving up to the camera, right? And behind her you can see this rocket, and then when it went down and it went bang, you heard suddenly a cheer, and she got the cameraman to turn round and look at the people in their deck chairs, drinking wine, watching people die. That's monsters. I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, he's concentrating on stopping the suffering in Gaza with his pauses. That's no stopping the suffering. That's adding to the mental torture of these people.
Yeah, we're going to give you 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, to have a meal, have a drink, maybe shoot yourself up with painkillers a wee bit, right? Fair enough. And then we're going to bomb you to fucking hell and back, right? That's awful.
But as I say, this is really severe. This man is upset his party, he's upset the people.
Well, okay.
Let's get the guidance who's shuffling in another Tory administration.
Let's take it away from Palestine. Let's just say it was a Labour leader that did something wrong, right? And it's about time he went. How do Labour go about it now?
I don't know. I do know, David, is you and I have watched Starmer's stance on this one and how it's affected his political party.
In all seriousness, does somebody in the Labour Party say, right, we're going to have a vote on whether this guy goes or stays? I mean, they did it with Corbyn, so how could they do it with Starmer?
I'm sure the Labour Party will get a mechanism in place to run a leadership competition for somebody starting against them. But as I say, I'm no member of the Labour Party, so I'm not sure what the mechanism is. Maybe somebody in the comments will know what the mechanism is to try to trigger a leadership election in the Labour Party.
I've got to say, the lassie that is the deputy leader, she is more than capable of taking the reins of Labour and maybe taking them towards a general election. I'm sure people would get behind what she's got to say. I disagree with a lot what she says politically, but still in all, she's obviously a much more capable person in terms of the Labour attack, than Starmer ever would be. Starmer's ridiculous. He really is.
It doesn't matter who they put in the top of that party. They're just going to bow down to whatever America says because they know they're going to be in government or they hope to be in government. A long way to an election. As I say, so far the stance has taken them back 3% of the polls. I'm sure more and more that will get more and more as more and more Muslim people become repulsed at his actions and no calling for a ceasefire. And as I say, this idea of humanitarian pauses that's been proposed by Canada, America, the UK, this is just mental torture of people being fucking massacred.
Yeah. And
we'll think it's genocide and we'll get the West saying nothing about it, and that brings us on to the next story.
Hang on. There's one thing I want you to consider, guys, right? Ever since Tony Blair, right? And I don't know before that, but definitely since Tony Blair, the UK has become a vassal state of the USA, right?
Yeah.
And what David's saying is absolutely spot on. They're just going to become another plaything for the United States government.
Right, the situation in the Middle East is causing havoc in the G7 and all.
Yeah.
The foreign ministers from the G7 will be meeting in Tokyo to try and get themselves aligned behind one policy on this the situation in Gaza. Now, the G7, Britain, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the USA, as I say, will meet in Tokyo and try and agree. But there's a bigger problem there as well because the European members of the G7, they're all members of the EU, and the EU 27 can't come up with a common stance on it either. What we are seeing right across the continents of America and Europe is people standing up and saying, no, no name. Get this stopped.
Have you heard recently, David, just to ask you a quick question, you might know, Ursula von der Leyen, what's her position like at the moment? Is she under a lot of threats to resign?
Well, she was until she'd be corrected herself. Same as Starmer did, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's still some pressure on Starmer to resign. And there will be more and more council leaders down that road have a look at it and go, nah, this isn't the Labour Party we signed up for.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, the foreign ministers of the G7, they say they're coming together in Tokyo. And we've been told by the international press that if they get this right, then their positioning and the world stage will be weakened. The G7's position on the world stage will be weakened. And that the Middle East could go on fire.
It's what I've been predicting now for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, is the end of the old New World Order. And we're seeing the New World Order beginning to come together under the name of BRICS. So Russia, India, China, South Africa, plus Iran, plus Saudi Arabia, plus Argentina, plus, you know what? And it's like, that's a huge chunk of the world's economy. Follow the money, always. David's been telling you that for blooming years. Follow the money.
The G7, as I say, they've got a problem, a big problem, and as I say, if they don't get this right, as we all know, every one of these nations I've just mentioned, David, including the EU 27, are signed up to a two-state solution.
Yeah.
So why aren't they just saying to Israel, right, that's enough?
Yeah.
Though even the United Nations are signed up to a two-state solution. The problem is nobody seems to be wanting to pull Israel up short here. And we're not talking about the Jewish people here. And this idea of trying to conflate and peaceful protest with anti-Semitism here in the press, as we were talking about earlier, is sick.
Yeah.
And it's a clampdown on people's right to protest even further. This is a further move into fascism, but that's Sarah Shiden in that one. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you very much,
Jim. Put that up. We don't accommodate the fundraising. You guys are doing the fundraising.
Stephen Kelly's put up a thing there, must be breaking. Embassy staff withdraw from Lebanon. It would be nice to know, is it the UK embassy staff?
Hezbollah.
Yeah.
But as I say, we all know this is about oil, you know. But the problem is nobody seems to be willing to put the boot in Israel, draw them back, out the situation, and demand that they get to the table. And that's because the permanent members of the Security Council keep vetoing ceasefires.
The only country that could do that, David, is America. And that's it. If America...
I actually believe pressure for the rest of the world put on the States would make the States do it.
But the only country, the only singular set-up or union, right, is America. They are the ones that have been providing the weapons. And what's happening right now is the people in America are starting to get wind of this. And they're starting to complain and going, why is it we're poor and you're sending blooming weapons across to Israel?
Yeah, I don't quite understand your question there. We don't get paid for these broadcasts. I get paid at the end of my shift each day. David's self-employed, he runs his own business. But so I don't get the premise of the question. Maybe you can clear it up a wee bit.
I'm on a pension.
You're on a pension, do you, old man? Anyway. Right, so there is a possibility of the G7 losing influence in the planet because of this situation. But what's really going to happen is all these people are signed up with a two-state solution and to pull Israel back and drag them to the bloody table.
That ain't going to happen quickly. Seriously, I'm trying to be practical about it. The Americans are not there yet. Their people are.
That's very, very generous of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you very much. The people are. You can see the videos coming out of people going, no, not in my name. Yeah, you're sending massive amounts of money abroad, and it's like we're struggling here in America, and it's a fact that a lot of the population of America are struggling. You know, and they look at this and they go, why are we supporting Israel to go in and kill these blooming innocent people? Yeah. Doesn't matter how you do it. Thank you, Casper. Doesn't matter how you do it.
All saying good job. Will raising his paw. Now, as I say, the situation is dire. It's getting worse. We're up to 12,000 deep. Plus, there's the ones that haven't identified or found yet.
Yeah.
You know, it really is getting to the point now where we can see state influence. Well, we know that the UK is a third-rate place now anyway. Nobody pays any attention. You say a vassal state.
Yeah.
But as I say, they're being warned that G7 will lose influence if they don't get the call right on this one.
Well, that's now over 100 people killed, or Palestinians killed, also in the West Bank. What have they been doing? Are they, have they been firing rockets or whatever? No. What's been happening is the IDF have gone in and brutally murdered people in the West Bank. Same as they're brutally murdering people in Gaza. Come on, guys. If there are any of you that aren't on board with this, you just need to spend some time looking at what's happening.
Right, now we're going to finish on a Brexit story, David.
Yeah.
And that is that the predicted medicine shortages that have been predicted for a long while have started. Now we've got Community Pharmacy England, who supplies to NHS pharmacies down that road, tell us that at the moment there is a shortages of vital antibiotics, HRT treatments, hormone replacement therapy, mental health drugs, and blood pressure and heart drugs.
I didn't realise HRT was in there.
Aye.
Can you imagine all these women going ballistic? You know, it's like my wife has got the 7 dwarfs of the change, right? And it's got the names of them, like Angry, like Beastie, what the rest of it, right?
Moody.
Aye, and it's
like
cold. Yeah, you look at that and you go.
Now listen, I'm as worried about the HRT as you are. Believe me.
I can assure you, the menopause is a ridiculous affliction. It really, really is.
The same blood pressures. Now, Professor Martin McKee of the London School of Tropical Medicine say people's lives are being put at risk. Now, conflict around the world is also contributing because war zones need a lot of these drugs. But the main problem is Brexit, apparently, and the new paperwork and tax system has increased the cost of drugs as well. And it's making them harder to get in. So people who need these drugs daily may have to go without, and that will lead to deaths. Now, David, you be careful. What a menopausal woman might be coming after you. There's a fair few on the stream.
It's really dreadful.
Yes, I'm aware of that. The class action. Men do take a hormone replacement therapy too, yes.
And the lasses that suffer it, I mean, my goodness me. I remember one woman said, if men suffered from the menopause, they'd have found an answer to it long before this, and it's not a good situation. And if they end up without their patches or whatever it is they take, then there's going to be a few bust out. There might be a few marriages come to an end, through it.
Well, Millie, these medicine shortages have been predicted since 2016.
Yeah.
It's only because after 2021 and now as the checks have to come in, and then of course the new rules on taxation and things like that sees European pharmaceutical companies only get to the point of shipping when there's X amount being ordered. Unfortunately, we can't stockpile a lot of these drugs because of the short shelf life, like insulin and things like that. Yeah. So, as I say, we're being warned that there's going to be a shortage of the drugs that I've just spoke about over the winter.
Drugs like insulin. You can set up a unit to produce insulin en masse in a very short. In actual fact, isn't in there's some mobile units
that
produce that, right? Okay. But also, you look in Scotland, we've got, or in the UK, we've got Glaxo, we've got Sanofi, Synthalabo, we've got AstraZeneca, we've got a whole range of pharmaceuticals. And the pharmaceuticals, I believe, can actually set up to produce a run of a particular medicine in a fairly
Martin, it would only matter if it was your particular type of medicine that's coming in and you can't get it in. But what they're saying is they can't get medicines when they need them and they can't stockpile them.
Yeah, I believe that when it's a life or death situation where a large amount of the population is going to be affected through the lack of a drug, I'm pretty sure there's ways around that where it could be produced in the UK.
Sandra, you're right. ADHD medicines is also problematic, but that's in there under the package of mental health medicines.
Yeah.
You know, so apparently it could be a very bleak winter for some people who require vital medicines on a daily basis. And David, as you already know, you had a problem with your diabetic medicines already, haven't you?
Yep, they managed to find 1 4-week supply of the injection that I take. It's called Trulicity. The reason I had to be put on that was because that buffoon, Elon Musk, was asked in an interview how he managed to keep such a sylph-like woman figure, and he said, "Oh, I use Ozempic, which I inject once a week." And then the whole fucking world decided they were going to buy Ozempic. That meant me, my diabetic medicine that I get, which was Ozempic, was removed from me. Simple as that. So they found something similar, not quite the same, but this Trulicity, and then that became on short supply. So okay, that's just my problem. But the list of stuff that you were putting out there, David, that's frightening. Blood pressure tablets. If somebody has got a problem with blood pressure, they can end up with dementia caused by high blood pressure. Do you know that? Do you realise that can actually, I forget what the vascular dementia they call it, where high blood pressure starts to break down the vessels in your brain. You know, and there's all sorts of things there. And my goodness,
as we know, David, we're starting to really see the Brexit effects now. The things I was predicting 6 years ago are coming through. Medicine shortages are starting to happen. We've seen less choice in our supermarkets and less shelf life in our fruit and vegetables because it's taking longer to get them in.
Yep.
You know, and that will get worse once the proper checks are introduced on all these things.
Yeah.
We're only just at the beginning of this process.
One of the first companies I mentioned there, a company called Sanofi Synthalabo. I used to do all the telecoms from at one time, right? That's an aside. But I watched what they were doing. What they did was they produced all the out-of-patent drugs for some of the African nations.
That's right. That's the one in Newcastle you were telling me about.
Which was cheap. They've got a production plant in Newcastle, Guildford, and Surrey, and they've got one somewhere else.
Anyway, the reason why I bring this one up, folks, is because central procurement for drugs is done by NHS England.
Yeah.
Because it's cheaper to buy in bulk.
That's right.
The Scottish NHS, the Welsh NHS, the Northern Irish NHS, they all send in what they want NHS England to buy on their behalfs.
Yeah.
But, as I say, it will affect the whole of these islands. And it has been affecting the whole of this island, as you just heard David said, to swap medicines because the one he was usually on is no longer available.
Yeah.
So, this Professor McKee down there at the London School of Tropical Medicines is right. People are going to, there is a chance of people could die. Yeah. Unless there's an alternative that they can take to some of these medicines. Because what we've been told is it's difficult to bring them in bulk, and they can't stockpile a lot of these medicines because they've got short shelf life.
But insulin is one I know, I do know this, that you can actually set up a production facility for insulin very quickly. The problem is that the modern insulin that they use is still under patent, I believe.
Well, Jane knows all about this stuff today. That's for a few. But as I say, that's that's the stories that we had to have for you today, folks. I hope you found them interesting, and I hope you found them informative.
Yeah.
Now, if you like what we do, hit the like button on YouTube, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, share across your social media platforms, please. And thank you all for your kind donations today, but that's us up over our hour, David.
Very good.
We'll be back on Thursday to do it all again. So, as I say, doesn't leave much like that. It just leaves one thing left today, David.
Bye, guys. Bye, Davey.
Bye, Davey. Bye, folks.